There were many baptisms in the church and strong Aboriginal leadership developed. Finally, in 1959, it was thought that it was time for a change in leadership and an Aboriginal pastor, Sterling Minnicon, was appointed. At that time, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders were still under the control and the discrimination of the Aboriginal Protection Act.
My father was the first Aboriginal pastor to pastor that church, and I take my hat off to Pastor Con Spoor, who actually had the gumption, the courage, who took the risk, particularly in that era when we were still under the Act, to give the leadership over to Aboriginal people in church ministry. Because back in those days church was the only other thing that we had on our communities. That was the only place where we could gather, where we could meet with each other, we could talk about a whole range of things, we could pray together, we could sing together. That's where we as a community met. Pinnacle Pocket to me was like heaven. I mean, it's I grew up there, where amongst all the community there, and it has a huge, big, lasting effect upon my life, my ministry, the things that I do, the very core of who I am, comes from a lot of the learnings and the teachings of living in that community there with all of our people up there in that area. I learned to worship God, learned to love God, learned to enjoy the fruits of who I am.
My little eldest daughter, she got a sickness, and that's when I hated God. And I said, I hate the Christian, I hate God. All those years I suffered, but I forgot how the women prayed, you know. They prayed every hour of the day and night. They was praying for me, I tell you that. And then one day, Sally Turpin, she said, Jesus can heal you of a broken heart. I said, yeah, well, I want to see him do it. I was really feeding him. I said, I want him to do it. And I said, but he's got to come to me. I said, I'll meet you there, and you better be there if you're real. Because I was desperate. And so, anyway, I waited. I got the kids up, got them dressed. And I said, now I see where you are now, Jesus, if you're real. Send me a ride.
God provided their ride to church in a remarkable way, and during the meeting, Eddie's young brother got up to speak.
He quoted Luke 4:18. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. And then it goes on to say, to heal the brokenhearted. And I said, that's it. And I just looked and I saw the sword coming at me. You wouldn't believe this. The sword flaming. And it hit me right in, the Word of God.
I came on the scene here around about 1960, and this is where I was saved under the ministry of Sterling Minnicon. And right at the very start, these men got around me, men like Peter Morgan. They were very instrumental in early days of my Christian walk.
After 6 years, Eddie and Rita went to Shepparton in Victoria for a holiday. They ended up staying for almost 8 years. He became the pastor of a small church with only 11 people, but it developed into a large, vibrant church. And then God challenged him solidly.
These are the very words. He said, I want you to come home and open the door. And I didn't want to leave down there because everything was going good. Yes. Right at the end of that 7 years, there was a revival, big revival. And I had a beautiful job. Well, my heart dropped. I could have been a millionaire today.
Yes.
And this happens. But anyway.
You were obedient?
Yes, I sulked all day. And
you sulked all day?
Yeah. At the job there. And when I came home in the afternoon, I didn't know how to tell Rita.
Yeah.
And what the Lord had said to me. Anyway, I put on a bright face and walked in, and I said to her, you know what, sweet? She said, yeah, the Lord wants us to go home.
Pinnacle Pocket leadership changed a lot after Pastor Spohr left. Many that he had trained moved into ministry in other places, and a lot of the community supports fell away. The village water supply, electricity, employment, the bus for the school children, the village and the church. Families moved away to find employment, and the village was finally closed.
When I came home, I came straight out here and had a look around here. The place was overgrown, grass, all the houses that was here was all burnt down and nothing, and the doors closed, and so we had the first meeting. There's only just my wife and the children and this one lady. The second meeting there was 9 altogether then.
Yes.
And one of them was Sterling Minnicon. He came from over Dajara.
The houses in the village had been burnt, but the Pinnacle Pocket spiritual fire spread to many places during the 1960s. Families moved to other parts of Queensland, to the Northern Territory, Western Australia and all over Australia, taking their fire sticks with them to light new fires. People from all around began to travel back to Pinnacle Pocket for prayer meetings, conventions and church services.
The church began to grow.
Yes.
And they were coming from everywhere, and the Anglican and the Baptist church and the Presbyterians, they were all coming here.
Yeah? Was that because of the move of the Holy Spirit?
It started off, that was the move, started off like that. We ended up with the largest Sunday school, I think possibly in Queensland, the largest youth group and the most talented group in Queensland. They were a top team.
Yes.
Yeah, and the biggest women's ministry.
Praise God.
The prayer meeting, well, it was mixed.
Yes.
The Anglicans and the Baptist mainline churches used to come out here, and we all used to bunch up in that old church.
The old church was far too small, and one day Pastor Eddie felt God spoke to him and gave him a vision of a new church building. God provided the finance, the materials, the labour miraculously. The church premises were set up for camping for conventions at Pinnacle Pocket, which were held for over 20 years at Christmas and Easter, as well as many long weekends. The conventions were a major part of stirring up the fire in people's lives, and there were many miracles and healings, eyesight restored, people able to walk again. Pastor Eddie also trained up new leaders, sending some off to Bible colleges and schools of evangelism, and then supporting them to start new churches in Warburton, Cairns and many other places. As well as being involved in evangelism and discipleship, these new leaders are now involved in community issues including domestic violence and real employment opportunities for indigenous people.